I'm going to show you today how to make no-sew neck cozies for a replacement for scarves in the wintertime. You know when you go sledding or when you go skiing and you put on your scarf and it has all these dangly things hanging down so you're tripping on them or your kids are getting caught in things? These are no-sew neck cozies so that they can wear them in the wintertime and stay nice and warm, but they won't ever feel like they're tripping on all of the little pieces. They're super warm. I made them for all of my daycare kids, and I also did a project where I made them for the homeless in the wintertime as a project with my church. So the first thing that you do to start is you go down to the store and you find different types of fabric. We use the Blizzard fleece fabric because it's very soft and very warm, and it has a little bit of stretch to it. So you have your child or yourself pick out a piece that you like. You can pick out something that fits your personality, like trucks or animals or little cupcakes, or for adult ones there's even coffee materials and tie-dye, and so you can pick anything that fits your personality or matches your clothing. There's plain colors as well. And you need to purchase 2/3 of a piece of fabric. When you buy your 2/3 of a piece of fabric, it will make 2 neck cozies. So you can have one for yourself and give one away, or you can have 2 of them so you can switch them out because they are washable. So you'll have your 2/3 of a piece of fabric, and it's cut. If it's cut perfectly at the store, then all you have to do is open it up, and you'll notice that the ends have just a little bit of this extra material on it. And so we first cut as closely as we can because you want as large of a piece of fabric as you can. We want to cut these little edges off so that it looks a little nicer. And nothing has to be exactly perfect, so if you're a little tiny bit crooked, it doesn't really matter that much. So you'll just cut that edge, and then you'll cut this edge off. And I always cut this one right along the white, and I have not bought a piece yet who didn't have this this edge on it. So you'll always have to cut this edge off. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. You just want to take that off. So you'll see I even left a little tiny bit of white, but it doesn't really matter. On some of the darker pieces of fabric, you might care. So that's how you cut off the piece of fabric. Then you will take your 2/3 of a piece and you'll match up the end that you just cut off with the 2 pieces that you just cut off. Make them match, and then kind of swish your material down so that it's even, and then you will just cut this edge off, or apart, sorry. You'll cut your 2 pieces. So now you have 2 pieces of fabric that you can make your neck cozy out of. Now we cut here and we cut here, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it in this direction so that it lays like that. And you'll see this isn't exactly perfect, but it just has to be close. So if it ever is really bad, you can trim it off, but it's generally pretty good. Some pieces of fabric have an up and a down. I'm going to show you with this piece of fabric right here. You can see that when I fold it, I want the opening side by my stomach. And if the trucks or the animals or whatever it is that you're making are upside down, then you'll be aware of that so that when we tie the ends together, you'll know which is up and which is down. So right now, I'm just gonna look at the trucks right side up. So you got your nice sharp pair of scissors, and you'll cut the corners off. And they're approximately 2 inches by 2 inches, maybe a little bit less. And you just wanna make the 2 ends match. So remember, I said this side is the opening by your stomach, and this is where you're cutting your 2 corners off. 2 inches by 2 inches. So you can make them match and then cut them off. And if your scissors are really sharp, it'll cut very nicely. Then we want to cut all the way across the bottom in approximately 1/2 inch increments. But just because material kind of moves around a little bit, you want to make sure that you tie the two ends before you get carried away and start going across. So if you know how to tie a knot in your shoe, all it is cross the two pieces like a string and put one through, and then you do the same thing again. You cross them and you put one through and pull it tight. Just a plain old knot, that's all I use. And then I cut an approximately well, first I'll do both ends just to make sure my material stays put. Cross it and put one through, cross it and put one through. Don't forget to do that twice, because I was helping somebody one time and they didn't do it twice and their whole thing fell apart. And then you can just cut. So you cut, like, let's say 7. Doesn't have to be 7, it can be 6, it can be 5. And then whenever you feel like it, just kind of tie one. And that will hold the fabric in place. The first time that you make one of these, it might take you half an hour. Not including, of course, your trip to the store. But as you get good at them, I can make these in about 15 minutes. So feel free to make them for your whole family. They have some really neat fabrics. I've picked up some camouflage fabric, so I have a friend who has been making them for her family who goes hunting. And they have really cute fabrics for kids, and they've got some really pretty fabrics if you are a woman and like something that's just going to be a little more classy. And they have plain, like black. Now you see at the end, as I was cutting there, one of these pieces ended up smaller than the others. That doesn't really matter. The deal is that the fatter ones are harder to tie and the narrower ones are easier to tie. So if you're having dexterity problems, if you're older and have arthritis in your hands, you're probably going to want to make them a little narrower, and it doesn't really matter. So once you've cut the whole row across the bottom and tied intermittently, then you can just go across and tie the whole row. And it goes pretty quickly. What I tell people is if you're right-handed and you want your hand on top, you just keep going that direction, because if you keep switching like this, then your ties will end up, one's going to be this way and one's going to be this way. And if you want a nice even tie, then you just make sure that one hand is always on the top. So if it's your right hand on the top, keep it on the top the whole time. If it's your left hand on the top, keep it on the top the whole time. So I'm just going to quickly tie all of these. Okay, so now once this whole side is tied up into little knots, now is when it's really critical to make sure that you have the trucks or whatever pattern you have facing upright. Like, it would look very funny if you were wearing this and it was around your neck and these were upside down. I did that wrong. Okay, it would be this way. That these would be upside down. And so you just want to make sure that you're looking at your pattern right side up, and then you'll flip it over so that they're upside down. And then you'll take these two ends and fold them together. And you'll see once you fold them, now you're looking at them right side up. So make sure that you've got the ties on the bottom and you're looking at your pattern right side up. Then you'll turn it to match the two ends together. And the first thing I do is I tie the two ends again. So we're gonna cut it about 2 inches up. And with the end, if you're making it for an adult, you want to make this cut as short as you can so that they have more space around their neck. And if it's a child, you can cut as far as you want because there's plenty of extra room and the kids don't really care. They keep warm no matter how big it is, because of the nature of it. You can put it on them inside their coat, or you can put it on them outside of their coat. So they will stay warm either way. So you tie the end, make sure it's lined up again, and then you cut the other end. and give that a tie. And then each one of these you're going to cut and then tie, because now that you're tying 4 pieces together, you will have a harder time keeping them from crossing over one another. So if you cut and then tie, you won't have to worry about them getting mixed up with the ones next to them. So cut and tie until this whole end is done. So that's what it looks like when you're done, when the whole end is tied. Now, to wear it, you always want to make sure that these are on the bottom if you don't like it to tickle your nose. So you'll put it on from that end, put it over your head, pop it on, and there's your neck cozy. Now, sometimes you'll wear them inside, so you'll tuck it inside and zip the kid's coat around it. And sometimes, if they don't mind their coat zipped up all the way, you can just have it laying over the top with their hat and everything, and they will be nice and cozy the whole time that they wear their neck cozy. Thanks. Visit us again.